is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. Today, I'm super excited to have a good friend and also an amazing speaker, coach, and leader with us, James Evanow. And James is one of the top trainers in leadership and emotional intelligence in the field of adventure, sales, and motivation. And he delivers amazing, thought-provoking presentations that really has everyone touched in the room and creating some great awareness around the limitations that are holding them back. And after 20 years of business experience combined with 2 decades as a sea captain, that's my favorite part, James is telling his story and coaching around the ability to make major shifts in your life. So welcome, James.
Thank you, Penny. Good morning.
Good morning. So today we're going to talk about some sales, right? One of the things you have in your bio, right, is adventure, sales, and motivation. So, when we think about take back time, I really want to focus today on how we can be more productive and use our time and energy in a much more effective way when we're selling. Because today's sales environment, it feels like we're bombarded all the time with selling. You can't even go to a presentation anymore without being sold to. What's your take on that?
Well, just had the honor of sharing the stage with Les Brown the other day. And we talked in the green room about that a little bit before I went on, and was really lucky to get like 20 minutes with Les, and just, again, so honored. But, I want to bring up what he told me, because when we're talking about taking back time, I think it's a great way to say, how do we deal with the time management of our life?
Yeah.
And it's all relative, right? So it doesn't matter. We got X amount of time in our life and X amount of time to reach our goals and to make things happen. So being 100% efficient with that time is obviously the goal. So what Les's think was, I'm sure he's fine with me sharing this, is he's a little dismayed with where the speaking industry has went or gone with the sales part of it. It's just so...
Yeah, the selling on stage, right? I mean, sometimes they call it a pitch fest. You go to these things and you get one tip and then you get pitched 10 times.
Yes. Yeah. And, again, there's a lot of really good products out there and a lot of really great trainers and teachers and mentors and vendors. But at the same time, it's nice to be able to take in a message and be able to absorb it without feeling like you're going to be attacked. And I do believe there's a trend. And how's it relative with taking back time? Well, number one, you're at an event that you paid money to go to, and you're sacrificing your time to go to that event to get knowledge. And if you don't really get any knowledge out of the event, except the fact that you can buy something for, 20% of what the actual price is, according to them,
right?
The perceived value, I love that term. Perceived by who, right? So, I mean, you know what I'm saying, but it's just like, I'm spending my time to go sit down and listen to these people. And if I'm just coming out of there with a bunch of brochures and flyers on how to be able to spend my hard-earned money to get knowledge, then that's not a good use of my time. I don't consider that a good use of my time.
Right. You should be able to walk away from something like that with something actionable that doesn't need you. I mean, sure, you can always go on to something else, but that you can take action from that.
Absolutely. And I've went to 2 events, and I will promote them. It's just because they should be promoted. And one was the Author Millionaire Weekend with Greg Jacobson, who hosted that event. And that was there were probably 7 speakers, and there was no pitching going on. Maybe one person. It was very enjoyable, and Jack Canfield spoke. And I can honestly say it was one of the first times that I've been to an event where I came out of there feeling like clean, for lack of a better word.
Right.
So, and the other one was the event we just did at the Tower Theater in Bend with Les Brown. It was 100% just quality information.
Value.
Yeah. And so, okay, so we all have to make money and we have to build our businesses. So if we get the opportunity to go speak on a stage, which we all want that opportunity to be able to go market our wares, then is there a proper way to do that?
Yeah. So let's talk about that in the context of not just speaking, right? That's something that's become obvious, especially to us because we attend these events and we speak at these events. But, I see that across any type of sales platform, anybody who is selling and connecting with people. What are some ways that people who are selling, can be more efficient and effective in their sales process and not leave people feeling like they want to resist? They want to, ugh.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd like to use two examples for people that are into the cultural awareness piece. I know there's a term for this, but I can't remember it. But there's a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross with some great actors, Ed Harris, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin. If you've never seen that movie, you want a great example, go to YouTube and just look up Glengarry Glen Ross and watch the clip that when Alec Baldwin goes in to talk to the sales team of realtors.
Uh-huh.
And it's a rainy night. It's just an excellent, talk about a good use of your time. It's a great use of your time to watch that clip.
Okay.
Because you're going to see what I consider to be the old way of selling. And then the other side of that would be to look at somebody maybe a little bit more in the spiritual world, like how are they selling, let's just say it's Eckhart Tolle. And how is he selling his products? 110, or it's 180 degree turn, right? It's just absolutely the opposite direction of sales. So I prefer the latter of the two personally because number one, I'm busy and I don't want to get spam on my email. I don't want to be getting constantly bombarded with marketing materials. I want a value presentation and maybe it's an email once a month or whatever that looks like. Then I can look at this product and I can say, well, this is something I'm interested in. But it's using this constant, just like I really don't know what people are thinking when they do that. Honestly, I don't know anybody that I know that likes the way that some of these people market. And I've been taught that that's how you do it. We've all been told that. I've seen people getting up and walking out of events because they don't want to be sold to that way anymore. They're tired of it.
Yeah.
Now, is that a good use of your time to be getting constantly bombarded and distracted away from your goals, opening up emails, or if you're on Facebook or Instagram, whatever that looks like, you're constantly getting these ads. And I don't know about you, but I got away from regular TV. All right. I don't
watch TV either.
Watch TV anymore. And I do have Netflix. I love to watch quality programming, but I don't want the commercials.
Right.
I don't want that anymore. If I want it, I'll go do a search and I'll find the product. So I feel that we've entered into a new time, whether it's the younger people are coming up through the ranks and they're like saying no to this, or it's just got so overwhelming, like an avalanche. It just keeps coming of this constant bombardment. This went on for at least a decade, right? I mean, it's
gotten way worse, right? Because everything that, like now, not just TV, if people can flip, if you've got direct TV, right, you go through the commercials. Mm-hmm. But now, like if you're on social media, there's a ton of advertising, or like you said, like, people are sending, even if I didn't sign up for the newsletter, somehow I'm on their newsletter and all of that. It is. I find it intrusive. Like I'm not happy with it.
Yeah. And so then look at the flip side of the coin. Maybe somebody's listening to this podcast that is doing this. Like, well, how are your sales going? Right? Well, that's a valid point. I would say that if you don't sell that way, are you going to be able to sell anything? Are you going to be able to get any type of return on your time if you're on stage and speaking? Are you going to reap any benefits of any sales of anything? I mean, I have a program that I launched back in February that, sure, I can get an A stage and pump that out. But what I've preferred to do is put a link on a PowerPoint slide, let them go look at that. If they want it, they're going to call me rather than play some head trip on somebody in the audience. That's just my outlook on it. And, like I said, there might be people that are listening to this call that are doing that and having great success with it.
Well, and they must be teaching because there's some part of success about it. But let's talk about, let's talk about what are some positive ways that people can use their time wisely. Let's say I'm a salesperson, right? whatever it is, whether I'm selling on stage or I'm selling a widget or whatever. What are some things, you talk to audiences around sales, how can I better use my time? What are 2 or 3 tips that you can say, here's what you're doing that isn't working, right? The biggest mistakes people are making around sales, and here's what you can do to really improve the efficiency and effectiveness of what you're doing.
Well, I'm more than happy to answer that because, I'm just sitting here thinking as you're asking, why is my opinion valid? Whoever's listening to this podcast, why would they want to listen to me?
Good question.
And I can offer up this, is that I grew up in a very blue collar, hardcore background. I mean, I fished for 25 years, commercial fishing captain, and it was a very rough lifestyle, but there were the people in the fishing industry. There's a saying that the cowboys kept going west until they fell off the edge of the earth, and then they became fishermen. And it's still a very black and white industry where people will tell you what they think of you. There's not a lot of surface gloss or that type of thing. So with that said, I grew up underneath a very aggressive serial entrepreneur, my father, and he wasn't your average commercial fisherman. He built a small fishing empire. He had a seafood processing facility, 4 boats, 2 seafood restaurants, a fleet of trucks, and 150 employees. And he did this in an 8-year period. So I get to see somebody that had supply, an endless supply. There weren't really restrictions on anything at that time or limits on how much fish you could catch. It was more a cyclical thing where, some years there would be not very many crabs and some years there'd be just piles of crabs. But it's what he did with that and how he approached his clients that's how I grew up. There's a very honest type relationship building aspect. Is that he collected cards, but he really made a point to connect with his customers in a very, I guess the word I would like to use would be just a very connected way. It wasn't, over the top, but so that was his approach. What I've seen is when you're going to networking events, or I just spent the last 3 months flying all over the country going to these events, meeting people, and it just seems like a whirlwind. And then you get done and you've got a stack of cards and it's like, oh, yeah, okay, there's that person and there's this person. Or if you're in your local situation, like I live in Bend, Oregon, there's a ton of networking here and I go to some of these networking events. And what I started to realize is that I think it's more of a frantic type approach to sales. People think they're going to get all this business if they're there, if they just show up, right? But you have to take it deeper than that. Absolutely. And you have to nurture a relationship, and it takes time to nurture these relationships. You can't just go try to sell somebody and more or less vomit on them.
Which is what happens at these networking events, right? Yeah. Absolutely. I can tell you that I almost never hear back from anybody from those events. And I actually stopped going to them years ago because of the same thing. I couldn't possibly follow up. And so I'd rather have a couple of really core partners that I'm building relationship with, and really targeted, because then I know that we're going to be a good fit together. I'm going to be able to provide value to them and they're going to be able to provide value to me. So I totally know what you mean. I think it's almost like the Facebook effect, right? Is everybody thinks because you're connected, we're friends on Facebook, so therefore we have a connection, which no, you don't. Right? Just because you liked my post doesn't, right? Or I met you at a networking event and we liked each other, it has to go forward beyond that. Otherwise, it's just really superficial and isn't going to create any business.
I'm glad you brought that up because I posted a couple things the other day and you didn't like them, and I really wanted to talk to you. I felt like you didn't really like me anymore. What's up with that, Penny?
I know, right?
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
And seriously speaking, it's an illusion. We're living in a very illusory society, and people they're fulfilling their significance by being on social media. They get a feeling of significance, and that needs being met.
Yes.
And it's another feeling of connection. And this is a lot of what I talk about in my coaching. It's the six human needs. And a lot of people have heard of that, I'm sure.
Right.
But it's like, I want to go back to the part I was talking about, how I grew up as a fisherman. And then I transitioned out of that into the mortgage industry, which was, commercial fishing's not really sales, although we had the fish company. I wasn't really in sales with the fish company, but they sold hundreds of thousands of tons of fish.
Right.
And they did just a fabulous job of doing national marketing. Well, I got made the transition off the water into the mortgage industry. That was a culture shock for me. It was a whole different approach. And I found out after going to copious trainings and seminars and events, there's a lot of really good people out there who are very successful. One of the best approaches, I think, is to build that circle of influence.
Yeah.
And you need to get your key people around you and build those relationships. And then now you're in a position where the referrals are starting to happen, and you've just basically planted a seed that's going to continue to grow in a very fortuitous manner. But again, at the end of the day, it's like, what are you doing with your time? Are you just going to networking events? I don't know about the call or the people on the call, but it's where I live. There's people here with money and people here with not much money. And there's very few in between. And the people that are moving here want to live here and they want to enjoy the quality of life here.
Mm-hmm.
But they're out there almost like trying to get money from the other people that don't have money. I noticed that it was a very noticeable thing where there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of time being put in that is a waste of time.
Right.
And when we're talking about taking back time, I think that's something for people to really look at. That where's your target market really at? What are you really focusing on? And set that goal and stay in your lane. Try to work towards that goal. But it all depends on follow-up and what kind of quality are you bringing to these people. And to me, in a nutshell, if you can master those three things, just relationship building, follow-up, relationship with a clear target, I should say, and then the follow-up and building those relationships, that's a good use of your time. And
absolutely. So define that circle of influence, those people who are really your target market and that you can deliver high value to, right? Yeah. So identify them, follow up, right? It's the biggest mistake that people make is they contact people once or not even at all, and then it's done. So absolutely.
Yeah. And there's it sounds kind of corny, but the handwritten notes. It's things as simple as that, sending a small gift to people and slowing down in this fast-paced lifestyle that we have.
Yeah.
Where this frantic, just I call it the hamster on the wheel.
Yeah.
Running and trying to, and you're moving forward, but not really much. But again, back to what I first said is that we have a society now where we have to be realistic about what's happening in this country, and if not the world. It's kind of like you're going to get yours and other people, you get kind of like shoved to the side. It's like this big, I use a lot of metaphors from the sea, but it's like this big ship just going through a fleet of sport boats and just running over sport boats. And this big ship is making all the money. And all the little boats are getting crushed or pushed out of the way. And we have to admit that corporate America has, it's happening in the farming industry. It's happening in a lot of different industries where if you don't get on board with the big corporations, there's a chance you're going to go out of business. And I know that for a fact because I've talked to groups of farmers that are feeling that they need to keep upgrading. And so this continual pressure is being put on us. And here's the funny part is that the younger people don't want any part of that. They don't want to get up at 4:00 in the morning and go milk the cows.
Right.
They want to work 8 to 5 and they want to travel. And I'll be the first to say, you know what? All of my young adult children travel 10 times more than I ever thought of traveling. And I kind of questioned that at first as being irresponsible. But I started looking at it, maybe they're looking at me and their parents and people that are our age, like maybe we wasted our time doing these things, right? So there's a balance there, obviously.
Yeah, well, it's quality of life. So Americans are becoming more like Europeans. Europeans have always traveled, have always valued vacation, and there's also farmers, right? But I think that the younger generation, they look at life differently. And they do. I think they have more of a sense of purpose, of community, and they want to have experiences. They want to see the world. So I think they value different things than our parents valued. And that's all good, right? That's how cultures change and societies develop, and opportunities are created as well from understanding what the generations are looking for. So when you're building those relationships, bring it back to relationships, right? You need to know what's value to people, because you have something that you think is great and it's great quality, but others have to, you talked about earlier, perceived value, right? So that means that people have to perceive what you're offering is valuable to them. Otherwise, they're going to look elsewhere or they're going to disconnect.
Exactly. And I would be the first to admit that the last thing I want to have happen in my life on this planet is be that crotchety old dude that is being condescending towards young people. We all saw that growing up. I don't want to be that guy. So I try to really listen, and I'm very aware of the mentality of the young people. It's easy to put them all in a box and say, oh, you're a millennial. And I know for a fact that a lot of younger people, like in their 20s, they don't want that label. It's like, no, don't put me in that group. I've got a couple of nephews that are in their late 20s, and they're killing it.
Yeah.
In sales. They both went through university, and now they're out just grabbing life. But then you see so many people that aren't. But again, you can't really judge.
But that's every generation, it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're definitely being labeled, and there's the advent of other things like the legalization of pot. Now, there's things happening in our culture that are way different than they were 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. So we're evolving, and things are changing constantly. So when we're talking about taking back time, I think that's another relevant point, is that you've got X amount of time. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, at least the younger people I know, they're spending a lot more time embracing the quality of life and just saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to save up X amount of money into a vacation fund.
Yeah.
And we'll go on a trip, if not 2 a year. And I didn't do that. I raised 3 kids. I just worked. And that's the other side of that equation, is that I don't think having children is like a big priority as it was when I grew up.
Right. Or it might be later, or right. Well, and that's it, right? Taking back time is doing with your time the things that are most important to you, right? And for some people, it might be a family, and for others, it might be travel or whatever it is, right? Yeah, it's just being able to be in control. If we look at the World Health Organization has declared stress a worldwide epidemic, right? So it's finding out, what is it that's creating so much stress for us, and deciding that we're going to do things differently, that we're going to approach things differently, and it could be that it's a mindset thing, and it could be the environment that we're placing ourselves into, right? So it's controlling your environment, controlling your mind, and controlling your body, right? If we're not taking care of our body, obesity is a problem, and that can create a lot of challenges too. And
I was just going to say that, Penny, that's a great point. I was just going to actually say it's amazing how we think alike.
I know, right?
I know. But seriously, the health part of it, okay, I'll be 60 in August. And, I don't feel 60 because I've done a pretty good job of staying healthy. And I feel much younger than that. And I remember when I was in my 20s thinking, wow, I wonder what it'll be like when I'm 60. Well, honestly, I really feel like I did then as far as my activity level. So when we have X amount of time in our life, and I've always worked pretty hard. I mean, time when you're a commercial fisherman and you're at sea, you get up at, before daylight, and then you work until after daylight, and that's just the way it is. And that's a way of life. Well, in the mortgage industry, I did the same thing. Now, that might be construed as like a workaholic or somebody that's obsessive with working, but I really truly believe you need to have that energy in your body to be able to deal with this. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can't work that long. Oh, that'll wipe me out. So maybe there's something to look at there. Again, everything's relative when it comes to time. We have X amount of time. There was another thing that I love that I picked up when I was going to these mortgage seminars back in the day was whenever you have a new venture and you're going into anything, you have to go 90 days hard. It's called the 90-day burn.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of 180-day burns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I even did a 360-day burn. I mean, sometimes we have to go that extra mile. We have to put that extra time in. But if you're wore out and you're drinking too much, smoking too much, and that goes for pot as well, I mean, you're not going to have that energy. You just won't.
No,
As
you
an
won't.
athlete. So I think it's really important to look at that and just say, how bad do I really want this? How bad do I want to succeed in life? Or is it better to just lay on the couch and watch Netflix? Or, because it's a choice. It's a choice. And all you have to do is go to your class reunion and take a look around.
That's right.
And what do you want out of life? I mean, where do you want to get at the end of your life? And I use this, and I had a couple of people say, well, it's kind of harsh. Well, I don't think it's harsh at all. But if you picture yourself at your celebration of life party, your funeral, picture yourself there, and you have the luxury of being able to stand there and listen to what people are saying. What do you want them to say?
Yeah.
What do you want to hear those people saying about you? Because that's truly your destiny. There's your answer.
Absolutely.
Because you can still achieve that in your lifetime, but you can't achieve it if you're lethargic, you're not using your time efficiently, and you're not pushing your boundaries out to where you need to push them and get out of your comfort zone. So, hey, let's face it, I think it's over 90% of small businesses fail in the first year. And why is that? Because they didn't have a solid business plan. Their passion was there, but they really didn't have any structure to what they're doing, and they just fizzled out.
And at the end, they didn't focus on the right thing. If we were to circle back and bring it back to sales, right? Because new businesses are going to survive through cash flow for making sales. So if they're not, I just want to tie it all in together as we close out the show. So if you brought that back to sales, it's focusing on the right things, on building those relationships and delivering the value to the people who it's going to add the most value to. And that's it at the end of the day, right? Focusing on those right things.
Let's face it, Penny. I mean, I don't know how many people I've met over the last 6 months, but it's a ton. And I can probably name the people on both the hands, all my fingers, that were really professional looking and really look like they had it dialed in.
Absolutely.
And because they've taken that extra initiative to make themselves look professional. And not only that, their social media, their branding, all of that stuff is so important because, again, it's relevant with taking back time, because if you're out there doing things and you look unprofessional, how are you going to get any sales?
You're wasting your time.
Yeah, and you're wasting your time. And I do have a team that I work with to help entrepreneurs get to that next level in a very affordable manner. And all you have to do is check me out. If you want to contact me, anybody on that's listening, just go to jamese360.com. All of my information is right there. It's jamese360.com. And you can, connect with me. But I love seeing entrepreneurs that are really focused on picking their game up, stepping up, or standing up and stepping out and doing the things that most people aren't willing to do.
Absolutely.
Because those are the people that are going to make it. And one last thing I want to say is I use a metaphor in my presentations, and pictures, I like to look at it like we're vessels that have been placed on this planet. When we're born, our vessel was placed on this planet. And then our souls were poured into that vessel. Now, the question I have for the audience is, what is your vessel doing right now? Which direction is it heading? Is it sitting in the doldrums, sitting tied to the dock, sitting on anchor? Are you actually on a goal heading somewhere? And what does the bottom of your hull look like on your boat? Is it covered with barnacles? Or is it clean and sleek, and so you're moving at a very quick pace towards that goal? Because again, all this stuff is pertinent because we need to look at the overall picture of what we really want out of our life, but how are we embracing this time on this planet?
Yeah. And what are we doing to make sure that we're getting there faster? Like you said, taking care of that vessel, because that vessel is the vehicle that's getting us there. So I like that metaphor.
Back when I was fishing, if you didn't take care of your boat and your equipment, you didn't catch anything. So it's relative as far as sales and business goes as well. And then the other thing is negative people. If you've got negative people holding you back, there's only the person rowing the boat, or the person not rowing the boat has the ability to rock the boat. And if somebody's rocking your boat, you need to throw them over the side.
Yeah. Well, it's like pulling an anchor, right? You're dragging an anchor. It's going to take you a lot longer to get there.
Yes. So watch out for negative people. Take them back to town. Take them back to safe harbor and let them sit there in their complacency and pick lint out of their belly button.
Absolutely. So James, let's give people an address where they can contact you and they can reach you after the show.
Yeah, again, if you go to jamese360.com, you'll find some videos of me there. You'll find all my websites are there. What the website with the entrepreneurial advantage is what I like to call it. It's called Brand in the Box. That's paceyourself.biz. But you can find all of that on that 360 site. I just can put all of my information in one website. So
great. Thank you so much for being here today.
You bet, Penny. Thank you.
All right. And thank you all for listening. I know we kind of went with the C's today with our captain. We talked about a lot of different things. So really, this is about your success and what you're focused on and what you need to be focused on in order to reach your goal faster, right? Stop wasting time and start focusing on adding value, on really connecting with the right people and following up and taking care of yourself in that process. So thanks for being here. Take some notes. Act on those notes, and we'll see you in the next episode. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.